So I wanted to talk today about gratitude, um, something that is sometimes feels as if it's not so simple for us. I don't know about you, but sometimes it's harder to get there than others, and I think there's good reason for this. If you're finding yourself sort of challenged a little bit and being thankful and um, recognizing kind of the reasons to be grateful, which can actually often feel obligatory as opposed to natural. Um, and we think about just how many of us are wired to respond to negativity, to dissatisfaction, to things maybe that are left um, undone, or to sort of ruminate on things that are difficult. This is actually natural for the ordinary mind to just be spinning in this way all the time. So, in many ways, what we're looking at when we feel like, I really should be more grateful, and I hear myself saying that from time to time. I really should. Gratitude never came easily for me throughout my life. It's something that has arisen much more naturally the more I've practiced meditation and mindfulness. It sort of opens and becomes more abundant in those moments. Um, but part of it is like, how do I actually remind myself to be grateful, given all the turmoil in the world and all the things that we've had to go through in our society in the last several years, and certainly with the pandemic. So, not so easy to find those things. Um, and so, I think the first order of business, I was reflecting on kind of what Buddhism has to say about this. Gratitude is something that is sort of naturally embedded in the teachings. It's not always so explicitly talked about. And certainly it's not a moral thing where you need to be more grateful. This is how you practice. But rather, it's more a question of what is it that obscures gratitude or that blocks it. That's not a judgment. It's really cause and effect. So Buddhism sees things through this lens of cause and effect and conditions that cause us to be dissatisfied with life. So the first thing that we do is just try to drop the obligatory nature of gratitude, right? And dropping kind of this sense of effort that goes into saying, okay, I need to be more grateful, because there's an implicit judgment there. So if we drop the judgment and we say, well, maybe what gratitude is, what does it take for me to feel gratitude for the things in my life um, that I may be missing, that are really, really good, and really experience it as such, not just think my way through it. It's a recognition of interdependence, at least for me. And this may be something that you find different in terms of what helps you kind of to surface this quality of heart that we call gratitude. But ultimately, the recognition of interdependence, the things that are allowing us to be here together on this call right now and not struggling with something. But maybe we're carrying a little something that has been difficult or heavy. And, some of you have heard me say often that probably one of the biggest joys is the fact that we can all congregate together in authenticity and really to be seeking as much of the truth as we can together and practicing a settling and practicing this common heart, what I like to call the jeweled net, or Indra's jeweled net, where together we form however we show up, whatever we're carrying when we show up together, that we're carrying something, but we can actually hold it within this community of people that are all holding each other in this space. What a beautiful thing to be grateful for, I think, because I'm utterly grateful for everyone here. Um, so I also recognize that without each other, there's no sense of interdependence, that each person on this call, each person um, that is involved in our lives somehow, and the people that we don't know, there is this quality of interdependence that we rely on each other perhaps more than we realize. So, for example, let's take this glass here. This glass. I'm glad I have this glass. And it took a lot to get this glass to me. Somebody had to like mine the minerals and make this glass and then sort of make it available. Somebody had to pay for the workers to form this thing, or maybe it was made in a factory. It's an IKEA glass, so it was probably made in a factory. But nonetheless, there are people who allowed me to have this 99-cent glass that I'm using. And the point here is that things happen because other people are involved in allowing them to happen. And maybe I make an effort and I go and I pay for this. I see it at the shop. And my girlfriend and I, we were there one day and I saw this whole, wow, this whole like 6 of these glasses for like $2. And it's good. It's perfect size. I went home with all these glasses. The point is, though, that because of interdependence, we have well being. And because we also are, uh, we have the source of that well being within us, that is good reason to be grateful too. So, whenever we are practicing together and the mind begins to settle, even just for a moment, there's good reason there for us to recognize, oh, wait a minute, that's right. I'm recognizing that I have this capacity for my mind to settle. It may not feel like we do in any given moment, but at some point when it does, even if we drop in for a moment, we have that recognition. This is the quality of mind that is always there. It's just when things quiet. If I can focus my mind just for a moment on breathing, on breath, or on body, on senses, and sort of allow the mind to drop from the head into the body, like pouring salt into water, the mind settles down into the body and the senses open. That I can have that experience of settling and then feeling the breath just easing in, opening, holding, and then releasing. There's relief there, right? Even for a second. That means that this quality that I'm seeking, this sense of mindful, embodied mindfulness, is there within me, or I'd never get there. I'd have to go somewhere else and get it. But we don't have to do that. And so there's a recognition here of, oh, this too is part of who I am. Okay, I remember. That's what mindfulness means. The word sati means remembering. It's a Pali word for remember. And so remembering. Um, so that's why for me gratitude is really more of a recognition of interdependence. And it's also, in my opinion, a recognition of that well-being, that underlying state of mind that is always there supporting whenever I choose to settle and dive in and just allow myself to abide there, that it surfaces naturally, that there's good reason to trust that this too is me, that this too is the source of well-being that I can inhabit. Then this thing we call gratitude, this quality, this beautiful quality, arises spontaneously. And as we heard in this poem by Thich Nhat Hanh, happiness, the word happiness, um, it's a tricky word, right? Because he's not talking about sort of hedonic happiness, the happiness that comes with just sort of ephemeral, momentary joy based on stimulus-driven pleasure. Nothing wrong with that, yeah. But deeper sense of well-being. This is truly being happy. And when we're in that state of well-being, gratitude arises much more spontaneously. This time of year can be really fraught. And I think, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing about a lot of people who are really on the fence about traveling and gathering. And Thanksgiving can be a really huge time of year for families to get together. And so hard to imagine not gathering and still having a sense of gratitude, perhaps, for the people in our lives. But I don't think it's so hard. I think it's a matter of just sort of being able to settle in place and then open awareness inwardly and outwardly simultaneously to see, wow, you know what? There are a lot of blessings in my life right now, despite what I'm going through. Because all things being impermanent, all states, all conditions, shifting, being in change, whatever we're going through, is not permanent necessarily, unless we have, we're older, we have something chronic that we're dealing with for the rest of our lives. But even then, How we relate to it isn't permanent. We don't always relate to difficulties the same way every moment. So even that is changing. So remembering to uh, to settle, to open, to come into breathing, to come into a place of being mindful of this moment, not the past, not the future, but reality, which is in between those two, here and now. And then let everything else fall away. And that's where we can really encounter, I think, the heart of our gratitude. There is something called affirmations of gratitude that my dear housemate and music mate Darren, a beautiful sort of affirmation that he wrote many years back for his community. And I'm also part of this community as well, and I've since actually turned these affirmations into a practice. I was so inspired by what he wrote, and basically turned it into a guided meditation in 5 steps. So I'd like to do that with you today. And basically, the 5 stages of this practice are to cultivate a sense of gratitude that for the present moment, that we can be awake and alive in this moment, allowing the preciousness of this moment, just stopping the spin and the wheels and going, okay, we are here now together in this moment. What a precious thing to just suspend our awareness in this moment. What a good reason to be grateful, to be awake and alive in this moment. The second one is for the body, to experience some gratitude for being embodied in such a way that we can interact physically in the world, that we can do things, maybe we can create things. If we like to play sports or play music, we're doing it in an active way. And so gratitude for what the body can do. This body that has supported us and kept us alive and continues to do this, to thrive and to be vital no matter what. And the third one is gratitude for our mind, for the capacity to be conscious, for awareness itself, for being able to think and imagine and create. Everyone I know on this call is extraordinarily creative and wise, the capacity to know wisdom. And then the fourth, gratitude for our own heart, for the ability to connect with each other, the capacity to love. What a miracle, what a beautiful gift. Despite conflicts, disappointments, and such, we have this underlying capacity to relate to each other in loving ways. So gratitude for that kind of connection. And then the final one, gratitude for life itself, for the creative process, for the forces that enable us to exist in the world, for um, participating in the unfolding of life, whatever that means for us. So present, body, mind, heart, and life itself. These 5 areas that we can remind ourselves. And also the interdependence that it takes to support these 5 qualities with us. It can cause what we call causes and conditions in Buddhism.